Okay, so let's talk about separation anxiety. I'm not going to do a fancy video. I'm just going to talk frankly about what I tell clients they need to do that they have shared with me has worked for them in addressing and resolving, of course, their dog separation anxiety. That's the only perspective I come from when I'm giving advice and tips on dog training and behavior in the real world and online. So, separation anxiety. The root cause of it comes from an overvigilance in a well-provided for environment that is unnecessary for them to misinterpret as a means to getting their needs met, so that when that vehicle of hypervigilance, which is usually their human proximity and coming and goings, is removed, they now, with a lack of ability to understand object permanence because they're animals, short circuits and thinks that they will now not get their needs met. That is the reason why dogs. Now, how does that occur? Dogs hypervigilant as puppies. They're just following their owners everywhere. They don't have any structure, crate training, place time on the leash. Some dogs would not have had that potential in that situation, right? But they were, let's say, a dog that was just living, sadly on the streets or fending for themselves, competing with other dogs. So they had to be competitive and alert and make the first move and react to any source of resources, human or otherwise, and scanning and alert, to their environments if they're roaming the streets, to both, self-preserve, but also what they think is get fed every day. So that carries over because they can't just turn it off, realizing like, oh, I'm living in Beverly Hills now. Now I'm fed every day. No, they still are going to carry over, just like humans carry their psychology over to future situations that are nothing like their crappy childhoods. I'll give one quick analogy that I learned when I was getting my psych degree. One of my professors, and I'll always stay with this, is that let's say you were in an area with a lot of rivers and you needed a canoe and you had to have that with you everywhere you went because you were going to always paddle it. But now you're in a dry area where there's no more canoe. You got through that rough river and now it's no longer necessary, but you're still carrying the canoe everywhere. That's what psychology is, right? You had to maybe be extra vigilant and alert, or you didn't learn the right way to, kind of be mindful when you were younger because your parents didn't understand or created causes for this. Just like dogs sometimes just don't learn how to make calmer choices and not follow their owners everywhere to get their needs met, or they did because that was the only way they could get their needs met, and now that they're being provided for, they don't know how to turn it off, and training is the solution. So listen to that, what I just explained for 2.5 minutes, and you will understand separation anxiety to a T of where it comes from. Now, the solution: crate training, structured movement through the house, structured placement in the house and making calm choices with place training, commands so they're not thinking ahead. That's what anxiety is thinking ahead and thinking too much in a situation. That's it. So you have to reduce that by getting your dog to be more mindful, present, and focused through commands, place training, walking, checking in, and then there's the instinctive leadership to feel that you're going to provide because they have their quote-unquote job to get their needs met in your shared living situation. That's why you have to be thorough, and it's not just about and again, you've noticed in 3 minutes of talking about it, I have not mentioned once what to do when the dog's alone. You can't even get to that point and address the separation with the crate and all that till you have done some of the preliminary work that I just was talking about. And then you could acclimate a dog, hiccups, to the crate, and then also just get them used to being alone. But it's not about a time duration thing. It's actually just them learning how to stay put and mindful and calm and just kind of have the off switch in their brain when you're moving around and getting comfortable with being not always, 6 inches from you, usually starting when you are home moving throughout the house doing your daily chores and routines, and then that carries over to getting them more used to. But it's not them getting used to. You do that with young puppies and for potty training, but it's not, oh, my dog needs to get used to me in 15-minute increments. Who has time for that? It's usually based on your dog just needing to get out and relieve themselves because you've done enough work by the time you are starting to leave them alone in the crate. Until then, you'll have to create other means while you're dealing with a dog that has some deep-rooted issues that can be resolved, but it is something you have to work on diligently, and it takes some time and consistency. Okay.